Welcome to the Chew on This podcast. Join your host, Dr. Katie Chew, and her guests as they chew on what matters, one story at a time.
Well, hello. Welcome to an episode of Chew on This, and I am Katie Chew. And today I have a very special guest, Aashi Arora. Hi, Aashi. How are you?
Hi. Well, thank you, Katie. How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy 2026.
Oh, yes. Can't believe it's already here.
I know. And we're
full swing.
And we're in February now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Valentine's Day is going to be in a couple weeks. And so, yeah. How far did you have to drive to get here today?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I took like an entire loop around San Gabriel Valley and went all the way around down to Orange County through Cerritos and back up here. So
accidentally or
it was planned.
Okay.
But I am staying with my mom right now because we're in the middle of a major house renovation.
Nice.
And so otherwise I usually live in Orange County, but otherwise I'm only 20 minutes from here.
Oh, okay.
But it ended up taking me about an hour to an hour and a half to get here. So it's okay.
Well, I appreciate that you made the route to get here, the long about route. But I do appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
And so if you don't mind, share with my followers a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, so I'm an executive coach, Katie, and I'm trying to figure out, like, do I look here? Do I look there? It doesn't
you
really
can look
matter.
Anywhere you want. So the nice thing is that this podcast, it's a video podcast, right?
Yeah.
So people can watch us.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, it's still a podcast. And most people would like to listen to us
Sure.
on their radio or their cell phone. And so, yeah, you can look anywhere you want.
Yeah, so I was telling Katie before we started that this is my first video podcast, even though I also have my own show. And I've been on multiple podcasts, but it's kind of exciting to be in studio. So that's why I was asking, like, which way do I look? Do I look there? Do I look here? But I'll probably keep it a little bit more focused on you, and hopefully the listeners can still tune in to our conversation.
Yeah.
So a little bit about what I do. I'm an executive coach, and what that means is I guide a lot of professionals in leadership. And my company is iRISE Executive Coaching. So we are guiding professionals to rise in leadership.
And are these executives more in what industry?
Yeah.
Are you healthcare?
So mostly healthcare and higher education and nonprofit, because I had a long executive career in touching all of those sectors myself before I started the company in 2019. And so I had a 20 plus year career, most notably with the University of California healthcare system. And
that's a big system.
It's a big system, indeed. I was at mainly one campus, but I was in C-suite roles. And so understanding the challenges that a lot of leaders face in terms of educational, research, and clinical administration. And found that in the midst of all the conflict with individuals and teams, I was very drawn to the conflict, as strange as that may sound, but to help mediate it, to help guide people through it, and even the internal conflict that a lot of us leaders sometimes have. And decided at one point that, I was hitting a crossroads, and I said, let's make this a full-time career. And that was my next, my transition, my step. But there's a lot more to that story, actually.
But when you mentioned crossroads, right? It kind of like touched me a little bit, and I was like, I think that's one of the things about each person's life. We do come across crossroads, right?
Yeah.
And either we make a choice to go right or left, or we end up just feeling stuck right at that crossing, or we retreat, right? So there's always so many options, right? And I think you decided to take a leap, right, of faith and go in the direction that you decided on.
Well, it was almost like that crossroads hit me at different points in my career, and it was this internal voice that started getting louder and louder and louder until I couldn't silence it anymore.
Yeah.
And there were also certain things happening in my personal life that caused me to really reconsider, like, why am I killing myself in the 60-hour work week job? And part of it also was of my own doing, because I had the responsibilities of X, but I was also drawn to Y. And so I had the responsibilities of running a clinical department, a research department, and had operations and financial duties. And yet I was very drawn to the conversations, the connections I was having with individual professionals, especially those that were really struggling with trying to find, what was their path. And how to deal with some of the people that they worked with, or what were the next career transitions for them, or this is not what I thought my life and my career would look like. What else could there be for me? And as I spent more and more time with those individuals, and even sometimes the teams in conflict, I'm like, this is where my real passion lies. And so I couldn't quiet that voice anymore.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because as you were talking, I was just thinking, you mentioned there was X, and then there's this Y. And so now you're at Z, right? You've combined both of them.
Well stated, yeah.
So, all right. I don't know how familiar you are with my podcast, but we're going to be doing the hard chews and soft chews. I think you have the little satchel.
Yes.
Okay, here's mine.
Okay.
So this is the hard chews, and then you have the soft chews.
The soft chews, yeah.
And as a quick reminder to people who might be new to this podcast, what we do is we're going to draw questions coming from these bags. The hard chews are going to be questions that are going to be a little bit, I don't want to use the word challenging, but a little bit more thought-provoking. Make us kind of pause a little bit and think about what our answer is going to be. And the soft chews are the gentle questions.
Okay.
A little bit more light and hopefully easier to swallow than the hard chews. But we'll see. Right. Because definitely with some of my guests, we thought, oh my goodness, did my staff put the wrong questions in the wrong bag? Because they were kind of hard and difficult coming out of the soft chews. All right, so since you're my guest, we're going to have you draw one of the soft chews.
All right.
And then you're going to read it out loud.
This is exciting because I've never done this format either. Surprise questions. All right.
Okay.
What's something you appreciate more now than you did earlier in life? Oh my gosh. Only one thing, huh?
Yeah.
Let's start with one thing.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, or because I need to read that question again to myself.
Yeah. What's something
you appreciate more now than you did earlier in life?
Time. I just had a birthday, Katie.
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. My 49th birthday. So I'm about to enter a whole new decade of my life. And yeah, I can't begin to tell you how, and I know that this is probably going a little bit deep. Yeah. But time, and that's why my word of the year is presence. I always pick a word of the year, and it helps me ground in everything that I'm doing, right? Not only professionally but personally as well. And I've been thinking a lot about this concept of time, and why I'm relating it to presence is because I was in such a hurry when I was younger, right? To do, to achieve. And a lot of that comes from my upbringing, culture, society, whatever you want to call it. But it was always like in a rush. Even when I had my children, in some ways, I think back and I go, I hope I was present for them. I hope I got to enjoy a lot of those moments. And yet I was still constantly worried and thinking and anxious about what's next. I need to get them in this class or get them doing this type of activity or keep them busy, and I've got to keep us socially busy too, and I've got to excel in my career, and I've got to support, running the household, and it was always like do, and what's next? And now I'm like, gosh, I wish I had savored more of those moments and spent a little more
I can totally relate
time, just being present there.
Yeah, and as you were talking, it's just like, and I was listening intently to what you were saying, and it was a lot of ands, and this, and that, and this, and that. And that's what we were all doing, raising children, having a profession, and just, a lot of ands. We kept chasing what's the next and this. And I think, for you to right now focus on the present and making sure that presence is owned, I think it is very important. And so sometimes we wish like we had known that earlier, right? But we have to take it for what it is, right?
And I don't know if I would have changed anything. I'm someone who doesn't think a lot about regret. I mean, we all have regrets.
Yeah.
But I don't perseverate over it too much. I go, well, I did what I could in that time with what I knew.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, if I could tell anything to my younger self, I would say, slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down.
That is important. That is important. Okay. I have not given any thought to this, so I'm going to read it again to myself. What's something you appreciate more now than you did earlier in life? I do want to say time, but I'm not going to say that because, you know, there's multiple answers to this.
Yeah.
I think that I appreciate my children more now. And it's kind of like related to a little bit of what you were saying in time, because when they were younger, I was just so busy and wrapped up with all the motions of being a parent, right? Chasing the next and.
Yes.
And now I look at them and they're young adults, and it really makes me appreciate them more so because I've seen that they are my teachers. They're like my mentors right now. And the roles have reversed. And I love it. I love it for myself. And I never knew that I would ever get to this place or even, you know, be able to see it. But I see it so clearly now. And I thank them all the time for teaching me. So that's where I am.
I was just talking to someone about this the other day, about how amazing it is that we can learn from so many people around us, including some of the youngest people around us, right? And and especially from I learn from my daughters all the time. I feel like in every conversation, it might be something small and sometimes something so large. Like, so my younger one is very good with cutting out the noise. And so sometimes I just ask her advice, sometimes even in relationships, I'll just ask a bit of her advice, because she's studying to be an engineer. She's got kind of that mindset. Is this your younger daughter? This is my younger one.
My younger daughter was an engineer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, she still is an engineer. I guess I shouldn't say was.
And so she can sometimes get to, you know, the logic and the ration a little bit more, you know, like I said, like cut through the noise. And it's so amazing when I have certain conversations with her, and then I stop and think, and I'm like, wow, but like you haven't even seen so much of life, right?
I know.
And yet you're so wise beyond your years to say, well, Mom, have you thought of this? Or what about this? And
that's what it is. It's like, I've learned too that it's not how many years a person has lived life, right? Yeah. It's based on their perception of how things go and how they process that. And so it could be a little 6-year-old that will be so mature for their age, right? And it's because they process that experience so differently than we would as an adult, right? And so sometimes that's why they had that one show, like kids say the darndest things. It's kind of like that. It's a crazy thing, but a good crazy. All right, so I'm going to pull from the hard choose.
All right.
And I apologize if my voice is a little bit raspy. I did fly into LA this morning at 2 a.m. Well, the plane landed at 1 a.m. But by the time I got to the shuttle to take me to where I would pick up an Uber, I finally got home at 2 a.m. in the morning. And so here I am doing a podcast.
Yeah.
So my voice is a little bit raspy, and I apologize for that. Okay, so the question here is, what early life experience most shaped how you navigate conflict or tension today?
Ooh. Okay.
What early life experience most shaped how you navigate conflict or tension today? All right. I'm going to answer this first.
Yeah.
So, in an earlier podcast, I have mentioned a little bit. I didn't go deep into it, but I did experience childhood abuse. The abuser was my mother, and that experience really has shaped me to the woman I am today. it was still a process. And, between my mother and my father, they had 3 children, and I'm the eldest. And I have 2 younger brothers. And the difference in age between myself and my younger brother, the next one below me, is 4 years. And it is quite interesting that I can't remember anything beyond 4 years of age. But what I do remember is abuse, starting at age 4. That's what I can remember. So if you think about all the years where I was the only child in the house, what would I have been put through? And so obviously I don't want to go into details, but it is a type of abuse that even my father had to endure. And when, he would, I just don't want to go into graphic details, but, he would have his life terrorized. And so he was an adult. And at some point, they got a divorce, and it was at my mother's request. And I was a teenager at that point. And so, I've had issues in terms of, why my father didn't fight for us. And, through the court system. And at the end of the day, through that divorce, my mother gained custody of all 3 of us. And so here we were left alone with a mother that continued the abuse. So with that being said, that affected how I would face tension and conflict in my life. I learned to retreat and stay quiet, because as a child, when you're physically abused, you tend to compartmentalize. And even though your body is physically present during the abuse, you mentally check out.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where, and that was to save myself.
Yeah.
And so I think that has been my safe space growing up, is that whenever there was tension, whether it's in a personal life or work life, I would use the avoidance coping mechanism.
Yeah.
I would try to avoid the situation because I didn't want it to escalate. I didn't want my anxiety to elevate. And so a lot of times it would be avoidance. And, and maybe other people would interpret it differently and think that I'm just meek or soft-spoken. But it wasn't because I was meek or soft-spoken. It was a choice. It was a choice to not stir anything because it might become worse.
Yeah.
And it comes from
protecting yourself.
Yeah, protecting myself.
Yeah.
And so, so that's how I was navigating conflict and tension, probably all the way up until about 3 years ago now, when I, went through therapy. And I have been going to therapy for years. And this last therapist that I had, she was amazing. She was amazing. And so she's the one that really has helped me change my life around and know that I can face the hard things because I've always been strong. She was my biggest cheerleader. And she told me that I can do so much because I'm still me, And so I'm getting a little bit teary-eyed, but, I'm just saying that I am a different person today in terms of how I handle it. I will speak up with confidence. And I just know that, however my feelings were before was coming from my childhood. And so when I have these anxieties that come up, my therapist had taught me to say, Mom, you're no longer with me. You're no longer in control. And so that was a way for me to reshift my mindset.
Yeah, because so much. Oh my God, it's such a beautiful share.
Yeah, no, I know. This is the most I've ever shared on any of my podcasts right now. And I knew that at some point it would come out. Yeah. And but at the same time, there's a lot that I think, it's not just me. I know that. What I'm saying is that, my story, there's so many other people that can probably relate to what I'm sharing. And even though I'm going to turn 58 this year, I'm still a work in progress. I just feel like there's still so much for me to do and embrace in terms of confidence. So, but thank you for allowing me to share it.
Yeah, I mean, when we get into conflict, it's so easy, it's so natural to revert to our child, you know, to our inner child, right? And to how we would experience, like our natural place is to go to how we experienced conflict in our childhood. And so that question is incredibly powerful.
I don't know if you need to look at it again.
Yeah, and as I was listening to you, I'm like, wow.
And isn't that what you do for your work?
Yes,
right?
yes. That's why I was like, wow. Like, yeah, I definitely deal with conflict constantly. And you know, even when people come to me for coaching on executive presence, like, I want to get to that next stage in my career. I want to get noticed for that promotion. There's often conflict at the root of how they deal with it and how they manage it. And it might be the conflict of when I walk in to meet with a board, I get really nervous. I'm, you know, intimidated by a certain person there. I mean, there's that conflict, or that inner conflict that we have, right? In terms of, and it all comes back. It all comes back from what did we endure when we were younger. Now, as a coach, I'm not a licensed mental health professional, so there's only so far I can go back and take someone back, right, to talk about that inner child. But there are exercises we go through, and we sometimes like look at, like, well, what if you looked at everyone in the room as children? Would it change your perspective or shift the way you're interacting?
See, I'm learning from
you know. And so,
it would.
But you know, to come back to your beautiful share, and that takes a lot of courage to face that and to share that. And I'm of South Asian descent, and my parents immigrated here, and even though I was born and raised here, I was raised in a very traditional Indian family. And, you know, different forms of abuse were parenting. And some may even say there was certain abuse that we endured because, you know, that was also the age of negative reinforcement. But there's such a wide spectrum of what that qualifies as. And so your share hits really close to home. And it's maybe some of what I've experienced, not personally, but also witnessed. And I don't think I'm, you know, when you said you're a work in progress, so am I. I'm on a journey to also face some of the challenges I've had in my own younger years. And I mean, you know, you're not alone in probably what you've stated and what you've experienced. And yet your experience is still so personal to you and so unique to you.
And I think being able to share it now, and you know, as I share it on this podcast, and I'm hearing it in my own voice coming back to me. It's still very revealing, if that makes sense, because you can still have a voice that's in your head. Through your thoughts and trying to rationalize things. But again, like when you actually speak it out loud and then have you hear it back in your own voice, it's a reflection, right? And so I'm still learning, you know, through that process as well. And so.
Yeah, and every time you may speak about it, there's other learnings, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That come from that. So to answer this question, what early life experience most shaped how you navigate conflict or tension today? I mean, there's so many. One that comes to mind is, so I started kindergarten early and I skipped third grade. So by the time I was getting into middle school, I started high school at 12. I graduated high school at 16. And middle school were some really tough years, because in those middle school years, I was really bullied. And I was bullied in large part because of my age. Like, I was not as emotionally mature. I didn't understand.
So you were in high school at 12?
I was in high school at 12, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so high school wasn't as bad. I think the kids got a little more mature. I was fortunate to go to a high school that was a bit more diverse. But I went to a very small middle school. And my parents, I grew up still in a very traditional Indian household. And so I didn't listen to the same music that everyone listened to. I didn't eat the same foods. I didn't, I spoke English, but
everything else, your identity was still very linked to your culture.
Very much so, because along with living with my parents, there was always someone living with us, because my parents immigrated so many families from India, and someone or the other was always at our house, like staying with us. And so a lot of that identity was very much shaped by that. And we also had grandparents living with us at different times. And so I didn't fit in. And why I say that now is because, a lot of the bullying happened, and some of it was even physical. And it was very challenging, on a lot of different fronts. But I was thinking about, how did I deal with it at the time? And how did that shape how I deal with conflict now, or how I've worked through conflict over the years? And something kept coming back to me, and I thought about this a lot when my father passed away in 2023. And this is where I might tear up. So my father was...
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So it's not too long ago.
Not too long ago. Yeah, it'll be 3 years in June. My father was my hero, and he was a very patient man, and he was very gentle and very positive. And so the way he dealt with conflict was how, over time, I learned how to deal with it as well. And so I did go into my avoidance stages. There definitely was that. But there was often also this sense of, well, what's the other side of the story? Like, what are others thinking about? Now, when I was younger, I think he did it more like, well, you have other friends, you have our friends' kids that are your friends. Don't worry about them. You're there to study. He would try to take a more positive spin to it, which later I had to work through in therapy and coaching as well.
How did you feel about that when he was saying that to you?
I think at the time, he was just such a teddy bear, and he gave the best hugs. And so it was like, I felt very safe and secure with him. So even though I endured it, I still and I would cry, I'd come home and be upset. I would still feel a bit safe and secure. Was it the best way to handle it as a parent? Well, my mom also went to the school and would try to talk to them, and so it wasn't like nothing was done. But it was that safety and security, and also that thinking later on as I got older, and conflict started erupting in college relationships, or maybe even in my marriage, or with friends, or in the workplace. And I would talk to him, be like, well, what else could be happening? What's the other side of the story here? You're seeing it from one perspective. Yes. What else? So, and he didn't always say it directly like that, but I think as I now look back, I'm like, where did that style of me thinking about what else could be happening? What else could the other person? Because my dad used to also say, not everyone's black and white. There's shades of gray. So it's deciphering, which shade of gray are you okay with? Can you handle it? Is that okay for that person to be in your life or not?
Yeah.
And so translating that into, the conflict with people, it seemed that my experience was probably, I didn't always get as jarred as others did. Like, some people would say, wow, you have such a poker face, or we don't really know what you're thinking. And I'm like, well, because I'm actually thinking about what else could be happening here, so that I don't right away paint this person with this paintbrush.
Because they can be different shades of gray.
They can be different shades of gray. Now, I still did have to deal with some really difficult people.
Yeah.
And So over the course of my life and my work, I've chosen not to keep those people, right, close to me. Just like, you probably had to make a choice, right, with some of what you dealt with. Like, I don't need to keep this person close to me.
Yeah. And to piggyback off of what you just said, it's like for me, these last couple of years, I've really have started to act upon the decision making of which friends to keep close and others to tell myself, give myself permission to say it's okay to let them go. Because I used to feel like I had to keep everyone my friend, right? Because I want to be nice to everyone. But what I learned is that a lot of the energy that took from me to keep those relationships going when they were basically sucking all of my energy. There was nothing to
energy
reciprocate.
Vampires.
Yes. And so that's when I just decided it's not really worth it anymore. I rather spend that, and it sounds selfish, but it's not. It's really that, and I think the listeners will understand too, because they can probably relate to it. It's like, when you have a friendship or a relationship that is reciprocating all the time, then that energy is very circular. It refuels you, right? As opposed to just having it go one way. And so, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing, your story.
Yeah, it's, there's so many, right? We can bring up that help shape us, but it's really thinking about conflict from so many different lenses. And, to your point, I was just thinking about how one way I think that avoidance sometimes has shown up for me that I've been working on and I'm on a journey to work on is especially with those close relationships that I've had for a very long time, or sometimes even familial relationships that may be more challenging to create those boundaries with.
Because we always feel obligated. There's that obligation when it comes to familial relationships, right? I think those are the toughest. Those are the toughest.
And also the expectations that my parents' generation have of me as the eldest cousin on both sides. So it's like, now that my dad's gone, you're the one binding, the families together.
Wait, so are you the eldest of all your siblings?
So I only have one younger brother,
okay,
but I have a lot of cousins.
Yeah, but you're the eldest of all the cousins.
Yeah, so my father was from a family of 8, and everyone immigrated. All the families came to the U.S. And then my mom's from a family of 4, and she has one sister in India, and everybody else is here. And so, yes, I'm the eldest on
of all the cousins.
Both sides of all the cousins.
Yeah.
First one to go to college, like of the cousins. First one to get married. First one to have kids. All of all of the first.
Yeah. So I've kind of stepped into that role of being. I don't know if I should use it because it might be too strong of a word. But when my grandmother was my paternal grandmother was the matriarch of our family. And when she passed, I kind of assumed the role.
Yeah.
And it's a role that I carry with honor. Because it is my family that, before it was, every event was at grandma's house.
Yeah.
Every event.
Yeah.
Everybody's birthday, holiday celebration, always at grandma's house.
Yeah.
And then once she passed, it's majority of the planning and everyone looked to me,
right,
to make sure that it was going to happen. Things with traditions and things like that. So yeah, but I honor her by taking on that role. I love beautiful. I love it. There's no pressure. I love hosting family parties and they know that. And and it's very easy and fun for me. So
it's lovely. All
right. Where were
we
my
at? Turn?
Yes, it is your turn.
Okay. Wow, soft or hard? They all seem the same.
Well,
maybe it's just us, Katie, huh? What makes a conversation feel meaningful to you, even with someone you've just met? Okay,
I think we both have the same answer, don't we?
I mean, isn't it amazing how sometimes when you meet a stranger, you can share more than even someone you meet all the time or you have like a bond with. And I think it's because there's an energy you feel with people and that lack of judgment, right? Like you've not had enough time to form enough opinions about me or opinions about what I'm saying or enough knowledge of me and how I am and my personality to tie that with what I'm saying to you. And so it just feels so free and
yeah, and I take you for who you are at this moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the purest form if you think about it, right? Because there is no other things from your past that I, like you said, to judge you on or it is a beautiful thing to meet somebody and to have that connection and then be able to share. That just happened with me, with somebody that I had just met yesterday. And this was all the way across, the U.S. And it was just a very special moment. And I don't want to go into the details of what the person shared with me, but it was something that was very personal. And so I respect that. And I think that's where part of me, I think one of my gifts that has been bestowed upon me is that I think I am a good listener.
Yeah.
I'm a good listener. And I think that's where people feel safe because so many times people do want to share but there's, even if it's somebody that they know very well, they don't feel heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that person has a life of their own and sometimes they're so busy with their own life that they don't take that moment to hear the person who's literally talking to them about something that's very meaningful to them, right? So I think that's where I've realized people tend to share with me and we bond immediately because I think I listen.
It'd be tough to be a great podcast host without having that
strong
ability to listen and listen well.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. That's one of my gifts. So
it's a beautiful gift.
Yeah. I think we kind of both answer that because, like even today, right?
Yeah. When it was instant.
When I introduced you to my staff, I'm like, well, this is my first time meeting her. And I learned this on LinkedIn in real life. Like people have been using that. And so IRL. Well, this just shows my age.
I did not know. I had to ask.
I had to Google. What is IRL?
From the person that introduced us, Sheikh Ali.
Yes.
He uses IR. Yeah, he texted me once about IRL, and I kept seeing it. I'm like, wait, Sheikh, hold on. I don't know what that means. And he's like, oh, I can't wait to meet you in real life.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, that's...
Yeah, I was thinking back to when we were first introduced to, the internet. Yeah. And I was like, okay, it's not URL.
Yes.
It's IRL.
But that's so funny. I was also thinking,
were you thinking
the same thing about a website?
Yeah,
like
that's what I thought.
Yeah, that was the first thought that crossed my mind.
And just for our listeners to know, Sheikh Ali was our connection.
Yes, through LinkedIn.
Through LinkedIn. Yeah. Even though this podcast is broadcasted across all the major platforms for podcasts and on YouTube and also on my website, Chew on What Matters, LinkedIn is hands down for me something that has been very, very magical.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't explain it. It's not your typical social media platform.
Correct. Yeah.
I feel like it's given me a platform for me to share my voice, but it gave me an environment that I feel is very safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, it's been, I came on it to grow my business.
Yeah.
quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yes.
And even though I had been in leadership roles for so many decades, I had not ever even had a LinkedIn account until early 2020, when my younger cousins said, you need to do this, because this is how you'll connect with other people. Is how are they going to know, just by you putting up a website, how are they going to really know, like, what's the work that you do? And so I opened up my LinkedIn account early in 2020, and I connected with one of my first bosses, and then met up with him after, all the way to just connecting with people I used to work with, who then later on said, you know, I loved our time together, and here's why, and this is what I liked about you. And, you know, to have these like meaningful conversations with people I knew. And then at the same time, to your point about safety, security, like I've met all these great new people through it. And in a way that feels very natural and organic, through, you know, mutual people sometimes. Sometimes it's been a, hey, I'm a strengths coach. I'm looking for other strengths coaches to connect with. Do you mind like doing a virtual coffee chat or something? And some of those have not gone anywhere, and others have gone, you know, in great directions. And so, yeah, there is something magical about it. And I wonder if it's because people are looking for connection maybe at a more intellectual level, something that stimulates them in a different way, perhaps. I'm not saying that Instagram connections can't be intellectual as well, but you look at Instagram, Facebook, it's a whole different, or Twitter, or
it's
a
different,
it's just
not
different.
a different audience, because I do know that there are people who, so LinkedIn is my main platform.
Yeah,
it was my
same.
only platform, and then of course my daughters who are in their 20s, they're like, Mom, you need to like start posting on Instagram. Everyone's on Instagram, and I'm like, well, you know, okay, I'll try. But even then, you know, it's my main focus is on LinkedIn, and I think what it is that I feel that the people who are on LinkedIn, they are growing themselves, if that makes sense.
Yes,
I mean,
I see what you're saying.
I mean, majority of the people are on it to grow their businesses. I mean, majority, because that is what LinkedIn's
their brand,
platform,
their business,
their business,
get noticed for the next promotion, networking.
Yeah, and that is what LinkedIn is for. That's why it's called LinkedIn. Right. I only started LinkedIn just because I was replying to somebody else who was, I guess, tagging me in their post. And so I thought, well, gee, if they tagged me, people are going to start search my name.
Sure, yeah.
And I got to have something.
Right.
And so that's when I, you know, built my profile.
Yeah.
And, but as I started posting things on my own, my posting really wasn't for a business or anything like that. It came off as being just an extension of me.
Yeah.
And so if you look at my posts, they're kind of like systematically random, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're just things that are happening in real time in my life.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to share it.
IRT? No, I don't know if that's a thing.
In real time? I think so. We will make that in real time. Shake, did you hear that?
I love that.
IRT, in real time. But yeah, I think that's where my post, I might post, you know, 1, 2, sometimes 3 posts in a day.
Yeah.
And I'm probably, you know, messing up the algorithm for LinkedIn, but it's like, I don't really care.
It's natural for you.
It is natural for me. And so, you know, I didn't mean that I didn't care, LinkedIn, you know. But what I mean is that I'm just kind of...
You're not posting based on the algorithm. You're posting based on what you feel like putting out there.
And I kind of have my own beat. Like I have my own drum that I'm beating, and I'm just going with that. And it's funny because if I did stick to an algorithm where it tells you, oh, you're supposed to post at this time in the day and every other day, not more than 3 times a week, this and that. It's like, I find myself thinking, oh my gosh, I feel so stifled. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
too regimented or structured.
Yeah, and it's like I have all, and so these posts, I think that's why people resonate with my posts is because they can feel that I'm excited about these messages that I'm putting out there. And it really has touched upon my creative side.
And thank you again for joining us on Chew on This. As I always end, I hope that you will see clearly in your life, lead boldly, and also live purposefully. So again, take care. Until next time, be safe.